And welcome to today's Midday Show. I am Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. Little League World Series, the town is getting prepped. Parade is on its way. We also have a friendly reminder as well from a friend of mine. I'm going to talk about Kenny Chesney because that's why I skipped out on Friday. And last but not least, maybe the thing I'm most excited to talk about, being unplugged, we're going to talk about you have one true addiction, in my opinion. Well, that's not true. Sports analogies would be your number one. Then you have a second.
Well,
addiction.
sports analogy is just a gift. I can turn everything into a
that
sports
keeps
analogy.
on giving.
It doesn't stop.
Before we get to all of this stuff today, Mark, how are you feeling on this Monday?
I am good. You drive down the street in Williamsport. Little League parade preparations start with people at 8 a.m. just putting their chairs out there on the street and leaving them.
They're going for it.
You put them there, like
I was waving to people as I drove into the Genetti lot.
It must be. I mean, I guess it's a good sign for society that you can just put your chairs out there at 8 and they're there.
Yeah.
Like, I guess nobody messes with them and nobody, there they are.
I think so. Have you seen the whole resort thing where you put the flip-flop on the chair? Have you seen this? People, like at 6 a.m., these all-inclusive resorts, they open up the pool area and people like rush in and they take off one flip-flop and they put it on the chair. And then they like go to breakfast and they go about their day. But then like that one flip-flop is supposed to reserve that chair.
Does it work? Is that like the unwritten?
I guess. I just can't imagine that a flip-flop dictates whether or not you get the chair. Seems insane to me.
See, yeah, I don't know.
The parade, I didn't know. It's your chair. I totally get the parade. Like, if you were going in the pool area and you put your chair down, I'd be like, oh, that's your chair. Like, the whole, like, flip-flop reserving the chair, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I'm into it. I don't know if I respect it.
Well, I could see some younger testosterone-driven males who've had a couple adult beverages who would intentionally, like, grab the flip, like, maybe throw in the pool and be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Just toss it.
When I got here, there was no.
Well, this is what it comes down to for me as well. Like, obviously I want that chair, but if I'm not there, I'm not there.
Right.
Like if I'm not enough. I just don't think I would take the time of the chair from somebody who is there.
Have you ever been to an all-inclusive resort?
Twice.
Have you ever had? I was only there once.
Okay.
Did you ever have trouble getting chairs?
No.
Neither did I.
Maybe I wasn't at.
Maybe we weren't at peak time or something like that.
I would guess I went during the winter time, so I'm guessing that's not peak time.
We went during hurricane season because it was cheaper.
Then it definitely wasn't.
It was cheaper.
So maybe
because I said to my ex, "What are the odds?"
Yeah.
Like, what are the odds?
I've seen get video of people doing it on cruise ships too. Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
I have not.
Okay.
Have you?
I have. I went on the Disney cruise ship when I was 14.
Oh, that doesn't count.
No, probably not. I've never been on like fun's an awful word to use. I've never been on like an adult cruise ship.
It would interest me if you're like bouncing around the Caribbean to stop, like, we're going to go to this port for a day and that part to me would be cool.
Yeah.
Just, what word? Sculling across the ocean?
Sure.
That's not the word I'm looking for. There's a word. I don't know.
You don't need it.
But I just don't. Just like, oh, we're out. It's like flying. You like look out the window. You're like, oh, yeah, we're still moving.
Some cruises have, like, my parents and some of the family went on a Alaskan one where you kind of go through like these channels and like along the border of like Alaska. That was very scenic. So I do think there are some, but if you're just like going
if it's
through
just
the
ocean,
yeah,
there's a line in A Perfect Storm when they kept going out to try to find the fish, and he says, "Why don't we just something all the way to Portugal?" And there's a verb for it wasn't steam. Now I'm gonna have to go look it up.
The Little League parade is set to kick off.
I can hear it because it's what's his name.
It's going to be led by Mariano Rivera. The Little League Grand Slam parade returns. organized by the Cumming County Visitors Bureau. The parade will welcome the 20 teams and their families to Williamsport for the 75th Little League World Series. Downtown activities include stands with vendors. It will begin at 4 p.m. with the parade actually kicking off at 5:30 p.m. If you can go, go. Life's too short not to. However, if you cannot go, Mark, where can they find the parade?
Right here.
There it is.
NorthcentralPa.com. We will be live streaming all the action. I don't know if you want to call parade action, but we will have a view. We're going to have some fun with it.
Yeah, and
I'm going to have some fun.
You're going to get to see Mariano Rivera.
You know what's funny?
I don't.
Because I knew he was coming to the Little League World Series.
Yes.
I didn't know he was coming to the parade, but I knew he was going to make an appearance at some point throughout the fortnight, if you will.
Okay.
And I have a picture with him somewhere. The only time I was ever on the field at Yankee Stadium, at the old one, was the day of the last game.
Okay.
And so we went out on the field. I got my picture taken with my brother. There were people scooping up. Somewhere I had a little bag of dirt. Okay. I don't know what happened to it, but I had one.
Okay.
And there were people milling around. There were some players, but most of the players had gone at this point.
Okay.
And Mo was still out there.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of me and Mo, and I don't know where it is.
So you can't find the dirt or the picture.
Or the picture.
This is why I argue with people all the time. Just soak it in. Just soak in the memory. All these people worried about like getting their souvenir and getting the picture, and just soak it in, because you're a perfect example. You don't have the picture or the dirt. Just soak in the memory.
I think, and I'm not disagreeing with your sentiment. Isn't there an aspect of like, while I'm here, I should grab it just in case? So like later on, now what would I do with a bag of dirt? It makes for a good story. The fact that I can tell people I have a bag of dirt and I lost it makes for a story too.
So,
but isn't
that the memory now though? The memory is that you had a bag of dirt and now you don't have it.
I mean, yeah, but it was dirt. Like, what am I gonna do with it? But I do get it though, because like there is that urge that while I'm here, I should do this.
I just don't have that urge. I'm.
And you're probably better adjusted than a lot of people.
No, because now you're making it seem as if like I'm bragging, and I swear I'm not. Because I agree with you. There are people that like I have to do something to commemorate the fact I was here. Like I have, whether it's a picture or it's a souvenir or grabbing dirt and putting it in a bag for who knows who or why. But like I have to do this thing. And like a lot of times my favorite times during like trips or in tournaments or all these different things, I like being able to just take a step back and kind of surveying and seeing I have fond memories of watching our kids take their photos after the districts. Like that's one of my favorite things to do is like step back, remove myself, and watch them smile as they're all taking the picture. Like I don't want the picture. I don't want to take the picture. I don't want to take a piece of the hardwood home with me. Like I just want the memory and soak it up and smile and laugh. People don't function that way, and I struggle to relate.
Well, what's funny
is not that I'm right and they're wrong. I just struggle to relate to the urge of doing it.
I get it. And as you mentioned that, I've never been an autograph collector, really. I've got some when I was.
Yeah.
I remember Jim Bibby of the Pittsburgh Pirates was at Brandon Park one day.
You made that name up.
No, Jim Bibby. He could jam like a baseball in between.
So what did you and Jim
Big
Bibby
black right-handed pitcher when the Pirates were good. He was good.
Okay.
And I don't know why he was in town for something. And people were like, that's Jim Bibby. And I got his autograph. And it's not like I've been anti-autograph my whole life.
Right.
But I think I told you this. The first day Camden Yards opened, Charles Barkley and Jeff Rulin, you remember Jeff Rulin?
Yes.
Sat maybe like 2 or 3 rows in front of us because they were either with Philly or they were playing in Washington or something. But Rulin was a Sixer for a while. They must have been Sixers
wasn't
together.
Very long though, I don't think.
And never crossed my mind to go be like, hey, can I get your autograph? Because I think the autograph, unless you're looking to sell it and then it becomes a business, it's just a story that I could come in and say like, hey, Charles Barkley signed this dollar bill for me. But I can come in and say, hey, Charles Barkley sat 2 rows in front of me. It's the same story. It's just with a different punchline.
Sure.
But it's still, you're either like, oh, that's cool, or you're like, oh, I'm not impressed at all. So I've never done it with autographs, but I do get an aspect of, while you're here, you may never be here again.
Yeah.
So if you want to do something to commemorate it with a photo or with a bag of dirt, or I get it.
So Mariano Rivera will be the Grand Marshal. There's also going to be pin collectors. There's going to be sponsors throughout the night. We have 8 high school bands from Lycoming County, including bands from Central Mountain and Sullivan County. So we're here for it. Come to NorthcentralPa.com. Check it out.
And this is going to sound stupid because we always talk about how we think parades are dumb.
Uh-huh.
I've been to this one twice, and you mentioned this. It's only been around like 15, 16, 17 years. Something like that.
I thought it was much longer than that. This is the 16th year.
Okay. This is my favorite parade, just because if you're from here, you run into people.
Sure.
And you know people, and it's just not like, so I would never sit in one spot.
Right.
I would always move around because you can see people, like there's vendors, there's food, there's ice cream, there's stuff. But you can't, if you are from here, you can't help but run into people. And you see people in the parade that you know, even if it's like so-and-so's band or whatever, there has to be people that you know.
Sure, absolutely. There was the last thing I wanted to say about the parade. I told you there was a Facebook post, I believe it's from 2015. People around the area will know him, Zach Baggett. He does some shows like at Pine Square and different places around.
Oh, he's the guitarist.
Yes.
That's how I know. He played at Loyal Sock, didn't he? Wasn't he an athlete?
He was before I was here.
I thought he. Okay.
I knew his little brother,
but I do know him from playing. Yes.
Yes. Zach posted something on Facebook, and it is funny how like sometimes things kind of like stay with you. And he has reposted it from time to time throughout the year. It's been a while since he's reposted it. I actually got on today because I was curious to see if maybe he'll post it Wednesday.
He hasn't done it yet.
He hasn't posted it yet. So I actually dug through and I found the original post. I hope Zach doesn't mind me sharing it. But it is to me, he summed up what I think a lot of us would like to say, but he did it very simplistically and straight to the point and very well done. So Zach said on August 18th, 2015, the Little League World Series is almost here. That means that our city becomes the focus of the sports world for the next 10 days. Take pride in where you live. It's a special thing. Be careful and a little more patient while driving around this next week. There will be many people that don't know our area. They are guests here. Help them out. It is the dream of every single player, their family, and fans to make it to Williamsport. We can all play a small role in making their experience an enjoyable one. I don't know why that has stuck with me from the day he posted it. Just to the point, perfect, simple. And I think he says everything that makes this special. I think a lot of people grow up hoping to someday play in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And instead of looking at it as a hassle that everyone's here for the next 2 weeks, I think we should understand and remember how special it is.
Yes. And in reading it, someone pointed this out to me once in just something else. There's not one sentence there that is a throwaway. Like every sentence is good. Yep. It's valuable. It's not over wordy. But I think the key because now I need to find it, be a little more patient.
Yep.
Like, exactly. There are people that don't know where they're going. There are going to be longer lines that if you go to Wild Wings this week, it's probably going to be a little busier. Right. Now, it's cool that sitting right over there are, 12 kids from the Great Lakes region who, like, this is the greatest moment in their young lives. So, but it's going to take your food a little longer probably because it's going to be a little more crowded. But yes, it is I'm sure there are people here who hate Little League Week because they don't like the hassle, but it is cool to wherever you go that whenever I've told people, and I'm sure everyone is the same way, have you ever seen the Little League World Series? That's where we're from.
Yes.
And because it is perfectly timed, football hasn't started yet. Baseball hasn't. It's kind of through the dog days, but all the big golf tournaments are done. The U.S. Open hasn't started yet. This is for 10 days. The Little League World Series is probably the most talked about thing in sports.
Yes.
And Yes. So that is incredibly well written, and just, we are ambassadors to the people. We can either show them a good time, or we can be rude and obnoxious. And
yeah,
it's very well said.
Yeah,
very
so
well said.
Shout out to Zac. Like I said, it's funny kind of what stays with you, what you remember. He posted that 8 years ago, and I still to this day remember just how brilliant I thought that was. So.
Well, I don't know if we're East Coast or if this is why. Of course, we're East Coast, but I've had, when I lived in Baltimore, there were the Ravens fans are a little rough. They're not quite Philly rough, but they're close. And when you go to Philly or when you go to Baltimore, I figure it's this way with like Jets, Giants, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
That they want to see the stadium filled with just their fans. If you come in another jersey, they would rather drag you out and beat you than.
Okay.
I had a buddy who from Baltimore, a big Ravens fan. They would travel sometimes, and he's like they went to Nashville. And he said they're the nicest people in the history of the world. He said, we walk into this place on Saturday night in our Ravens gear because we're going to be cool. And they're like welcoming us. Where are you staying? When are you leaving? If you haven't been to this place, you need to go eat there. What are you looking for? Then you should go check this place out. He's like, welcome to our city. We hope you have a good time. He's like, if we'd have seen these people in Baltimore, we'd have told them we're going to kick your ass and get the hell out of here. Right. And so it is it's just funny how people see people coming in or people coming. Like, are we welcoming or are we annoyed?
Sure.
And welcoming is so much better, but it's not always.
Well, and the neat thing about it is we already have not that it's a competition, but we already have a leg up because they're so excited to be here. Like, you really have to go out of your way to find somebody that's like, yeah, I had to come to Williamsport. I had to come. Like, they're so excited to be here. I was pulling into the Genetti parking lot, and I told you this. I happened to pull in the same time. 2 cars pulled in, and I believe they were waiting for a third from, I believe it was Massachusetts, from the Northeast region. And I joked with you. I said, they got out of the car, their accents, I'm pretty sure it was the first time they ever left Massachusetts. Obviously, it's not, but that was my joke to you. They are so excited. Like, they got out of the car, and before their feet even hit the ground, they are smiling. Like, They just can't believe they've made it here, and it's going to be everything they thought it was going to be. So I think, like, to go along with, like, the being patient and the hassle and everything else, for a lot of these people, like, they can't believe they're here. They're so excited. I can't think of, like, when you think of touristy places or resort places or stuff like that, even though they're excited to be there, there's not like oh my God, we're here. And that's something that only like Williamsport, like there's few places that get to experience it, and Williamsport gets to do that for like 2 weeks. And I think that's cool. Lots of people go on trips. I know what you mean. Few get to like, oh my gosh, we made it. We're here. And that's how these people were this morning.
I'm shocked at how many people that I've talked to, especially because you go off to college, I lived out of state for a while and whatever. And the people will tell me a bucket list item is to get to the Little League World Series. Okay. Because they see it on TV every year. And it looks like, and just the way they built that with the bank out there is just perfect. Like, it's better than a full stadium. Sure. Having the bank with the kids cardboarding down, where my son broke his wrist one year because he was trying to surf and it didn't work. Sure. But that just adults whose kids aren't necessarily the Little League age anymore, but maybe are 14 or 15, but they've seen it. Their kids went through it. They've spent summers playing baseball, and they say, like, I really need to get to Williamsport at some point. Yeah. And it's shocking to me, much more than I've never heard someone say, it's on my bucket list to go to a Penn State game. Sure. But I've heard a lot of people, and maybe they don't say it because it's 100,000 people and they've already been there. Yeah. But I've heard a lot of people say it's on our bucket list to go to the Little League World Series. Yeah. And it's also shocked me too. Like, I like baseball. I've always, through this time, I still watch more pro baseball than Little League baseball, especially while my brother was playing. Yeah. But it has shocked me how you get around like the water cooler talk, and they're like, did you see the kid from Louisiana turn the double play? And people are like, yeah, I saw it. And now with it on your phones, it's just even more so. But yes, it does take over. We are the sports capital of the world for the next 2 weeks.
it will be interesting. So when Zac actually posted that, I'll share it one more time. When Zac actually posted this, it was right before Redland almost won the whole thing. So the insane part about that was that broke records. I believe it still holds the record. The Redland, I think it was their last game. We have a team from Hollidaysburg. It will be interesting to see how close they can get, because this is, in order to break the attendance record, the records show a team from Pennsylvania needs to be in it.
Yes.
We have a team from Pennsylvania in it. Hollidaysburg, hour and a half.
I was going to say, it's not that far.
It's not that far away. I'm curious to see after Keystone, after Redland, I'm curious to see with Hollidaysburg if we get close to breaking the records. It helps if you win a game or two.
Well, yes. If they have a chance, do they play on the weekends? When is their draw? But it wouldn't shock me, because when we see this with the concerts and because it hasn't been able, and because the people are ready to go back,
right?
And it, at least for a while, looks like it's going to be dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wouldn't shock me. It would not. Well, Redland's further away than Hollidaysburg.
The difference, though, Redland, Harrisburg area, I would imagine much larger following than Hollidaysburg. It'll be curious to see if, like, the State College, Hollidaysburg, State of PA jumps on board and runs with it. Redland's massive.
Yeah.
Like that conjoining area and the communities, I mean, it is huge. So even though it's a little further away.
Isn't Hollidaysburg a big, don't they play Williamsport?
Hollidaysburg's a big community. I mean, it's not Harrisburg big, but it's big. That's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see if they can win a game or two. Like, I think they can challenge the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could do it. And like you said, it's been a while. They haven't been. Hey, let's go in the car and see the Little League World Series. Like, I think you could see a record breaker if they can win a game or two.
I mean, yes, you're an hour and a half away, or anyone within a half hour. We can take a 2-hour drive. It's free. We'll just sit on the bank. We'll watch it. Like, yeah, I could see that it's packed. If they have a Saturday afternoon draw, I could see that it is packed.
Yeah.
And if they make to the American final or something, it could be insane.
Okay. Did you go to any of the Redland games?
No.
Or the Keystone? When Keystone made it.
I think I went when Keystone was there.
So when they were there, we were at Lock Haven. So we were like in the thick of, like, we knew some of the parents.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. Some of the kids came to, like, the camps during the summer at Lock Haven. So we had, like, experience with them. So we were at, like, every Keystone game, like, legitimately cheering in the stands for that. So it'll be interesting to see if Hollidaysburg can do the same thing. Really, really neat.
I would not have guessed that Keystone was that long ago.
Yeah.
That is surprising to me.
I was finishing college. I want to say it was my senior year at Lock Haven.
So it's been like 11 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 12 or 13.
Yeah, it's over a decade for sure.
I would not have guessed that.
Been a while. I skipped Friday. I told you we went to see a Kenny Chesney concert. When's the last time you were in Syracuse? Have you ever been to Syracuse?
That's a very fair question. Yes, it may be 40 years ago.
Really?
I was at a punt, pass, and kick competition in Syracuse when I was in second grade.
Okay.
Have I ever been back? I can't.
You don't know.
I've never seen the Orange play. I've never seen the Carrier Dome.
Okay.
Maybe never.
So
maybe second grade.
So they have an amphitheater right outside of the city. Absolutely gorgeous. I was blown away by it. Kenny Chesney performed. The place was absolutely packed. Kenny Chesney, this only played for about an hour, if that. Now, it was a Thursday night, so I don't know if there's time restrictions Thursday compared to like a Friday or something like that. But
well, you just start sooner.
Yeah, it's possible.
He played for an hour?
It was like an hour. It felt very, very short.
You know why? Because that is short.
Yeah.
And I demand a refund.
We didn't demand a refund. We had a premier tailgate. The tailgate was more fun than the actual concert.
Maybe the tailgate was so much fun that he played for way longer and you don't remember.
It's possible.
Okay.
That's possible.
Just
Any news? Do you have an announcement? You're just hanging out.
I want to hear your Kenny Chesney story.
I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
Did you throw your underwear on stage? That's what I want to know. How close were you? How
No.
close were your seats?
Well, so because it's an amphitheater, like seats, it's almost like the little league, like out in the outfield.
Oh, you were on the
It's
lawn.
Yeah, but see, like everything, because it's an amphitheater, everything's kind of lawn style. Like I'm sure they have some areas that are kind of like gated off where like you can go in, but there's no like section 8, like row 2.
Oh, there's no
seat.
real seats.
Not really.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's really just kind of like you pour it. And again, like they have some sections saved and like you show them your ticket and you get to go into that section. But for the most part, it's just like a straight up amphitheater. Really, really.
So
really
it's not like over Wilkes-Barre or.
No. This was
Okay.
one of the best concert experiences I've had from a like venue standpoint. The downside though is he only played for an hour. I was really bummed out. And
maybe he realized the crowd sucked. Maybe you guys were worthless.
You think so?
Could have been. I can't believe
I
Kenny
was
Chesney
putting in my effort. Let's put it
You
that
gave
way.
it everything you had?
No, there was. I mean, this is part of. So there's a lot of different ways to go about this with Kenny Chesney. Some people, Kenny Chesney always wears a hat. I don't know if you know this or not. Do you know Kenny Chesney?
I
always wears a
thought
hat?
country singers all wear. I thought you had to.
Really?
Are there any that don't?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that don't.
Who?
I feel like New Age, like they don't. Like Kane Brown don't. Like they do, but they don't have to wear one.
No.
You don't think so?
What? Wait,
Let me
they
ask you
do.
this. What
They
does Kenny
do, but they
Chesney
don't
look
have
like?
to. It's not like a baseball game where it's a rule. But are there any country singers that go out on stage without a hat?
Yes, there's lots. But then, like throughout the show, will they put one on for like a song? Like, yeah, they do
Oh,
that
okay.
stuff all the time.
Okay.
What does Kenny Chesney look like without a hat? No one knows.
Kenny Chesney.
No one knows. Kenny Chesney has the hat like attached to him. So I've always made the argument that like Kenny Chesney probably isn't like, I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great musician. Probably not the best looking. Like he never takes the hat off. People were throwing stuff onto the stage. People were just undressing bras onto the stage. Like, and they don't even know what the guy looks like. No one knows what he looks like without his hat on.
Maybe this is like the whole Kiss makeup thing. Maybe for the who opened? Was there an opener?
There was. She's very, very popular now. Pierce.
Maybe for the opener, he
Yeah.
was sitting right next to you and you didn't know who it was.
Kenny Chesney?
Yeah.
With the hat?
No, without the hat.
This is what I'm saying to you.
That's why
If
he
they-
goes incognito through town.
This is what I'm saying. If there was a female performer who always wore a hat, you never knew what she looked like without a hat, would you be attracted to her?
I think you could see enough to be attracted without the hat.
Do you think so?
Yes.
You wouldn't be curious just like, why the hat? Like, why the hat? Like, what's going on?
What
why
or is
can't
like
you-
is the erogenous zone for you like the top of her head? Is that what you look at a chick and be like, God, she has the sexiest scalp I've ever seen?
It's possible. So D agreed with me. D says he played for 1.5 hours, still not very long. It felt short. Now, D, I was having a good time and things were flowing and the moment was fleeting, but it felt very, very short.
Flowing and fleeting. That's the
It
that's the
felt
title of Jeff's Thursday night. Flowing and fleeting.
Tastes Like Good says Sam Hunt doesn't wear a hat. Country music fans. Sam Hunt isn't country music. So there you go. Do you know Sam Hunt?
I do not.
Oh, see, you're out on country.
I'm a 90s. I'm a Brooks and Dunn, Garth Brooks, Black Hawk,
Okay.
like Travis Tritt.
Yeah, so you're out on country.
That was back in, that was.
Yeah, so you're out. Just say I'm out.
Well, the modern country.
Yeah, you're out.
Like, I think I would like Florida Georgia Line if I really listened to them a lot.
But they're more rocky. That I agree with you. Florida Georgia Line is right up your alley. That's more
Because every time I hear something from them, I think it's cool.
Yes.
Have I ever gone out and bought it? No.
I get it. D says there are seats under the roof. It was, I think D would agree with me. The setting, the scene is like the stage is here, but then the whole lake and like the sun setting is off to your left. So sometimes like you're just listening to the music and looking at the lake instead of like the actual stage. It's that nice.
Yeah, I don't understand. I wouldn't be looking at the lake, but I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were having a nice romantic moment with 6 of your friends and you guys wanted to just stare at the lake, that's cool.
Why can't it just be a good time? Why does it have to be romantic?
Because staring at the lake is a good time. Are you fishing? I don't know. Like who stares?
Is it not relaxing? Do you know what today is actually? Today is National Relaxation Day. Did you see that today?
I think yesterday was National Left-Handers Day.
Okay.
Because today's my son's birthday.
Why do you always have to one-up me? I just told you today is National Relaxation Day.
Well, it's funny, like, because he's left-handed. He missed National Left-Handers Day by a day.
Ooh.
So he got National Relaxation Day. And he's a 16-year-old. Like 16-year-olds live in a relaxation mode.
Okay.
So it's kind of perfect.
Katie's going to help us out. I want to know how Forever feels. He has his hat off. So Katie says that he does have his hat. I'm assuming you're talking about the music video, Katie. So in the music video, I want to know how Forever feels. You can see Kenny Chesney without his hat on.
Can you sing us that song real quick?
I can't. I want to know how far I can't. I can do When the Sun Goes Down. I can do Beer in Mexico.
Corona.
I can do American Kids.
That's the answer, right?
I can do Pirate Flag. But he didn't.
I like American Kids is my favorite Kenny Chesney song.
I can't do a lot. D says, did you know it was once the most polluted lake in New York? This is where the venue is, off of Syracuse. I will say this.
What's the name? It's not called the Syracuse Lake, right?
We're just going to call it the Syracuse Amphitheater because there's no chance there's another one like this in Syracuse.
No, but the lake is not named the Syracuse Lake, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm not a geography person. Don't hold me to that, but I'd be surprised if it was called the Syracuse Lake.
Because now I'm trying to think. Because at Cooperstown is where the start of the Susquehanna River.
Yes.
And I can't remember the name of that lake either because it's not called the Cooperstown Lake. It's called.
What?
I think there's an Indian name. Sorry, Native American.
There you go. Heather knows it. It's the Onondaga Lake.
Onondaga. See, that's a Native American name.
You know what's great about that is we actually stayed on Onondaga Street. I just didn't know that was the name of the lake. Yeah.
So Kenny Chesney, this is what we get from it. You think he's ugly and he doesn't play long enough. People are very clearly attracted to Kenny Chesney, and that's fine. I don't have any issues with those people.
What I would say, though, is like if I were to find the female comparison to Kenny Chesney, I would have questions. Like, I don't think I'd be like, why are you never taking your hat off? Like, what is going on?
I don't know
here?
That's all. I'm probably going to enlighten you here. Like, to country music fans, to the country stars are what rock music fans are to the rock stars. They don't have to be attractive. There are a lot of very ugly rock stars who have like playmates for wives. Like I
understand that, but the question isn't going and enjoying their music. I'll go listen to anybody. I could care less what they look like. But like, am I going to take my like skivvies off and like throw them onto the stage for just anybody? Probably not. So I'm just saying, like, you've made a clear decision. Once you've taken things off and you've decided to throw it onto the stage, you have made a choice. And that choice is you have decided that person is attractive and worthwhile, and that's why you're doing this. And I'm just saying, if I had a female comparison to Kenny Chesney, I would just have some questions before I did that.
But don't you think that these like ugly rock stars still have groupies?
Okay.
They don't go I probably shouldn't name, like, okay, God rest his soul. Tom Petty was not an attractive dude.
Okay.
I'll bet he had chicks on every tour bus.
But do you think like
because they don't look at him and say he's attractive. They look at him and say he's a rock star, and now he's attractive.
Do you think Kenny Chesney is there? Like, do you like when you think of musicians
I think Kenny Chesney is a country music, like, he's at the top.
He's like an A-lister.
He has to be, isn't he?
I think it's a good debate if he's A or B. I think it's a very good debate.
We've had this debate. You have like 3 people on the A list.
My A list in every list is very short. Yes. That's why it's the A list.
All right, here we go. Give me. My gosh, I would think he's top 5 in like modern right now.
Oh, right now there's people that have surpassed him, and whether it's in streams or popularity.
But not I mean, like, that's so. But right in now, icon status.
Yeah, like, I mean, but we talked about this before too. Like, I can think Kenny Chesney is an icon, but that doesn't mean I think right now he's an A-lister. Like, those are two, because we have this argument with Madonna. I think Madonna is an icon. Today, Madonna's not an A-lister.
Madonna is always. Garth Brooks is an A-lister. I don't care when his last top 40 hit. In the country music world, Garth Brooks is
icon.
always an A-lister.
You're getting your icon and A-list mixed up.
They're the same. They're
not.
interchangeable.
They can mesh in the same setting, but that one is clearly an icon and one is an A-lister. Like Garth Brooks is an icon, Luke Combs is an A-lister. Like and they can mesh, like they can get into the same place. But like one's an A-lister and one's an icon.
But Garth Brooks is getting in. There's no place that Luke Combs is getting in that Garth Brooks is not.
Correct, because Garth Brooks is an icon.
Correct. Well, okay. So everyone that's an icon's on the A-list.
Well, no, it doesn't mean they're on the A-list. It means at one point in time they probably were, and now they are an icon. The A-list always fluctuates. It changes from year to year, month to month, day to day. That's why there's a list.
It's like the Hall of Fame.
No,
once you're an A-lister, you're an A-lister forever.
No, that's why there's a Hall of Fame.
Garth Brooks is an A-lister for as long as he's alive.
Garth Brooks is an icon, without a doubt.
I agree with that.
He's not one of the 5 most popular people in country music right now.
Not right now.
So he's not an A-lister right now. He's an icon. You're making my point.
Well, what's
the list is always flowing, my man.
When you show up at the door, are you on the list? That's where the A-list comes from.
Yes.
And everyone on the A-list gets in.
But an icon doesn't even have to be on the list. They are it. They're just showing up randomly and like, I'm getting in. That's Garth Brooks. That's Madonna. Like, that's those people. The A-list is like, I'm still in the game.
So they're above the A-list.
I would argue, like, longevity-wise and because of where they're at, like, if you want to say above the list, yes. Like, they navigate society differently than the people that are still in
if you're saying that Madonna's not an A-lister because she's above the A-list, then I got no argument with that.
I hate the word above, but we'll agree to disagree. I think the sentiment is the same. I don't like that they're above the A-list, but...
Okay. All right. Well, back to... Like, I don't know, Kenny Chesney is high on the list.
Okay.
He is high.
Yes, I would imagine that he is going to be an icon if he is not one already.
I would agree with that. How old? He's not 50, right?
Oh, he's got
45?
Pushing it?
I would think he's 40.
I would think he's getting close, don't you think? I mean, when you were naming off people the other day, he's 54.
Oh, okay.
Remember
that's more than
you were naming off like Travis Tritt and Brooks and Dunn, and you thought Chesney was kind of like a little younger yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he's not, he's knocking on that door. Yeah, he's 54.
Okay, while you're doing that, how old is Travis Tritt? Because Travis has got to be older. I would think Travis.
You might have Travis Tritt a little overrated in your mind.
Well, I like him.
I know you do. Yes.
I don't think he's Kenny Chesney.
So Travis Tritt is 59.
Okay, so that's about right.
Yeah. I just love that Travis Tritt is like the Midday.
No, I would, and here's another one I would throw into Toby Keith. Like that's of the generation. How old is he? He's got to be.
Toby might be the same age as like Kenny.
Okay.
I would have put Kenny and Toby in like the same timeline, but I could be wrong on that one. He is. He's 61.
Toby Keith. See, I would have thought he was late 50s as well, but I wouldn't have thought he was 61.
I was telling Mark about because you didn't know this, about the Toby Keith and how his first single was an accident. The guy played the wrong tape on a radio station, I believe, in Texas.
You never told me this story.
I did. I just told you on the show like 2 weeks ago.
No, you didn't.
But
tell me again.
50
I want you to.
There was a radio station in Texas. He, of course, back in the day, you sent your tapes in to all the radio stations. He sent "How Do You Like Me Now," which was at the time. Toby Keith said that he thought it would be a good radio single. You know, talk about
it is a good radio single.
It is.
It's a fun song.
So he sent it to all these places, and obviously, you know, they just throw him into the band, and it's whatever. Some guy accidentally played it on a radio station. People called back in, said, "Can we hear it again?" And the next thing you know, in this one little region, all of a sudden, it was getting played every hour on the hour, and then it just kind of slowly started spreading. So literally, I'm not saying Toby Keith wouldn't have made it, but his start really was 100% an accident. Some guy played the wrong tape.
You know, they say Bon Jovi had Runaway. He paid to record. He wrote it. He did it himself. He paid musicians and he recorded it. And they made a compilation of like local musicians.
Okay.
And you got to put one song on it, and his was Runaway.
Okay.
And it hit. And they started playing it, and same thing. It got this local following. And they went up to him and said, "Hey, you need to put an album out." He goes, "Album? I don't even have a band."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay, we'll change that. You need to get a band, and then you need to put an album out, and we'll put this song on it."
Yeah.
So that's how he got started as well.
It's crazy how often that happens. Before we move on from Kenny Chesney and music, Imagine Dragons 1 through 10.
Okay.
Jerry
Says
saw the
10.
Imagine Dragons.
And
He was
Hershey-
the oldest person in the crowd by 30 years.
That's not true. Was Macklemore and Imagine Dragons the same concert?
Yes.
Did you go to Macklemore?
Oh yeah. Well, they wrote
Okay.
So we were there for the whole thing.
1 through 10, Macklemore.
For me,
Sure.
a 4.
Okay. See, I love Macklemore. I was sincerely depressed that these two things happened on the same time.
What surprised me was
Can we hear him?
Kind of.
Okay.
a third of the audience at Imagine Dragons was under the age of 16.
Sure.
It was families.
Okay. That makes
And-
sense.
And I'm not sure you want your 7, 8, and 9-year-old hearing that.
No, that's fair. I mean, if you had to pick somebody for them to hear, you might pick Macklemore. But in general, like, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it would be your first choice if you're taking like a 12.
But unlike Kenny,
Mm.
they played for 2 hours and 20 minutes, played 32 consecutive songs nonstop.
Okay.
Unlike Jeff, did you go home with your underwear still on you, or was it in a
Was it
bag
heaved?
on the back of the stage?
It was
I
heaved. It was
I
tossed.
was happy to be walking and not in heat stroke because the person I asked where I should get my tickets at in Hershey failed to tell me that if you get them in sections, 19 through 27 instead of 1 through 7, that you're staring at the sun the whole time and you're baking for the first
I heard
3
this
hours that
story.
You're sitting there. So
I don't think he asked me that. He asked me about Ticketmaster. He asked me stuff. I will say, when we went...
No, I asked you. I said, where in Hershey in the stands is the best? And you said there is no bad seat in the stands at Hershey.
I heard about this.
The son, maybe I neglected to say that. The last time we went to Baltimore, and my son and I, the last minute when we're deciding we didn't have tickets and we're buying them on the way down, he's looking. And he said, "Where do you want to be?" I said, "Left field line, because we'll be in the shade."
Okay.
And it was comfortable as can be. And I saw someone who was later back home. They're like, "Hey, I was there when you." They said they were in the right field line, and he said it was hotter than an oven.
Sure.
So yes, the son, I do feel a little bit bad that I didn't give you better advice. But did you sneak down into the 20th row for Def Leppard? Because that's what real men do.
It was sold out. 27,800.
It doesn't matter if it's sold out. Did you sneak down to the front?
No way to sneak down.
Yeah.
There was no seats
Hey,
to sneak down.
Somehow the real men always pull it off.
I disagree. Hershey's unique. They kind of heard you. Hershey is from a concert experience venue. Hershey heard you. I don't want to say better because it's not better to be hearded, but they do a very good job of kind of like subsectioning you off compared to other venues. In my experience, I find it's very hard to move up in Hershey compared to other places. Like when I was at Bryce Jordan Center, like you could move up your seats, you could move up on the floor fairly easily.
Well, if you're on
Hershey-
the floor, you can
Hershey's
move
a
up on the floor.
challenge.
If you're not on the floor, it's hard to get.
But
on the floor.
Hershey's a challenge though, because like they kind of have it marked off halfway through, and then you
just gotta be good. You gotta be good.
You don't move. Stop it.
I made it to the 20th
You stand
row.
in the background and you
That's
sway
not true.
back and
That's
forth.
not true. I listen. Next
It
time
is.
Def Leppard's there, you go with me, and by the time they're on stage, we'll be in the 20th row. Zac Brown, A-lister.
Zac Brown. He definitely was before COVID. After COVID, their last couple, it hasn't been pretty. He tried to do the solo album. It wasn't great. The last couple of singles they've put out, they haven't flopped, but they're not like. So I don't know. He might be falling off of it since COVID went away. Before COVID, without a doubt. Since COVID, it hasn't been.
I
pretty
would just
for him.
tell you, Zac Brown is still an A-lister. The problem here, you have to be. There's two people on your A-list.
No.
You don't have to date these people.
The problem, the problem here is that I know what my A-list is, and
It's
you
too
just
small.
and you just throw people
You're
on
too
yours.
small.
Like you don't have a barrier. Like there's no like.
Yeah, I have a barrier. Zac Brown
You
is
just-
over the barrier.
Here's what I'm saying. You just asked me if Zac Brown is an A-lister, and I gave you a very well thought out response as to whether or not I thought he was.
And
If I said
get it.
if I said to you like is Kane Brown an A-lister, it would just be like yep or nope. Like that's it. Like you don't have a. Okay.
That's all there is. It's a yes/no question.
So I'm not going to apologize for thinking. Like I'm not going to apologize for having a barrier and a
No,
standard.
you can
and thinking.
think, but then you have to come up with the right answer, or you can be wrong.
You don't have the right answer.
It's fascinating in our
What's the
world.
point
Like
of a list
your
if everyone's
A-listers,
on it?
there are like 3 A-listers, and I've like 30.
But what's the point of a list if everyone's on
But
the
everyone's
list?
not on it.
Yes,
It's not.
it is.
Tracy Bird's not an
This
A-lister.
is also
But Zac Brown is.
This is also the difference between like progressive and conservative. Because to me, putting someone on the B list isn't that bad. Like if you're a B list country singer, that's great. That's fantastic. You're still way ahead of the game. For you, it's like, well, we got to put everyone on the A list because, like, you know, we don't want to compare and we don't want to hurt feelings.
Everyone's
and, like, they're
not
all
on the A-list.
It's pretty close. 30 people on an A list is a lot.
It's not.
It's a lot.
Well, that might have been exaggeration.
That's what you said. I'm using your.
I would sit down and make my A-list.
30-person A list.
There's a lot.
You can't. The venue's not that big, my man. Like, not everybody
Why?
can get in. Not everyone can get in.
I think it is.
That's the point of the list.
I think, yeah. If you're on your way to the Country Music Hall of Fame,
this is the difference.
then you are an A-lister for life.
When I get in the car, there are people that I think are B-list and C-list that I'll listen to in the car, and I think they're great. To you, if they're great and you're listening to them in the car, they're A-list.
No,
like
that's not true.
If they're in the car with you, and
a
we're
one-hit
jamming,
wonder doesn't
if
make
we're in
you
the car
A-list.
and we're jamming, we're A-list.
No, that's not true. That's so not true.
You don't think so?
No. Listen. You can jam to Tracy Bird. "Holding Heaven in My Arms Tonight" is a great song. Clay Walker.
But here, okay, but this is the other issue,
there
too.
are people
Once
that had a
you
couple
put somebody
hits.
there, you don't take them off.
It's because once you're in the Hall of Fame, you don't come out.
But this is the list. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like the Hall of Fame and icons and A-list, and all this, it's not the same. Like there's a reason you have different things.
Kenny Chesney's on it. Whatever. Icon, A-list, whatever you want to call it, and you don't even think about it.
I love Zac Brown Band. Today, I don't know if they're A-list.
Zac Brown is on
today. Today, I don't know if they're A-list right now.
He's on.
I saw them in Hershey after the whole COVID thing, and he barely sang. We listened for about an hour and a half, and I think we heard 5 actual Zac Brown songs. It was mostly just like random covers, bringing the opening guests back out to sing covers. It was weird, really bizarre. He was either sick or
he could have
something.
Been. There could have been
something was very, very unique. Like
but see, like you're too in the moment. Like
that's
is the guy player of the week? Like yours is too fluid.
That's
like
the
you know
list,
who hasn't had a hit in a long time? Probably Britney Spears.
Okay.
You know who's always on the A-list?
She's an
Britney
icon.
Spears.
She's an icon.
Okay, whatever.
Difference.
If you can get into every party, then this is you are on the A-list, and Zac Brown is into every party.
I disagree though, because like if you go to a party, there are people that get on all the time because like I know his uncle or this or I gave this person this. So like they're not A-list.
But
they're
they
just
had to
getting in the
negotiate
door.
at the door. They're like, hey, the guy over, he's my uncle. Hey, can you come here? Come back.
Okay.
But Zac Brown just walks up and says, I'm Zac Brown. And they say, okay, Mr. Brown, you can come right in.
In the country, that's the other thing too. This is like just country music. And this is like the best of the best, right? And we're lining them up at the door.
Yeah, in Compton, Zac Brown probably doesn't have as much, cachet.
Neither would most of them.
But
so
yes,
that's a bad
but
example,
in the world of the world, yes. If it's not totally niche, then yes.
But isn't that the whole point? Like if I'm the bouncer at the door,
mm-hmm.
I'm not just reprinting my list every night I go out. Like the list fluctuates, like it moves. Yes, it does. That's the point of the list. Yes.
Not very much.
Yes, it does.
I disagree with you.
When's the last Zac Brown song that you've heard?
Well, I don't know.
Name one.
I'm not.
Name it.
But I know like enough that he is.
Yes. Oh, good. You know enough that you can't name the last.
No, I know enough that he is a legend. Like I know Macklemore. I can't name you a Macklemore song. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I could sing you a Drake song, but I realize that Drake is.
I love Macklemore. Right now, he's not an A-lister.
Is Drake? Or is he an icon?
No, Drake's an A-lister right now. He's still maybe the best rapper right now. It's not even close.
And for the rest of his life, Drake is an A-lister.
Because eventually he will get bounced. Like eventually he'll stop putting out music consistently. It'll stop going to number one.
Well, that's like,
I'm just saying.
Well, that's like radio play and stuff like that. But he's still, then he's an icon.
Then he's an icon. Yes.
Whatever.
You admit that my system like kind of works if you would just.
Well, you've changed. The last time we argued, you didn't give this icon status. Mm-hmm. But my thing with the A-list is the A-list means you get in everywhere. Because before you argued Madonna wasn't an A-lister, but now you're telling me she's an icon. Now you're telling me she's above the A-list, so I'll give you that.
Because I think someone can be an icon where maybe not everybody still recognizes them, but when the person leans over and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so-and-so," like, "Oh, come on in, Madonna," like, "Come on in, Zac Brown." So like the icon to me means like you're probably not in the premiere of your career anymore. Society, I don't think society has moved on from you, but you're not in their conscience anymore. Like maybe you're in their subconscious, maybe they don't recognize you right away, but once they realize who you are, it's like, oh my goodness.
Okay.
Drake is still an A-lister. He's not he will be an icon without a doubt, but he's an A-lister. Like if Drake walked through that door right now, you actually would probably know it was Drake. And you don't listen to any, but you would. So you're saying like you're gauging A-lister is like, are they still a Pro Bowler? Are they still an all-star right now? I'm like, once you become... The list is present, my man. Like, the list is happening right now. That's the list.
Get it. Well,
and then you have icons, then you have the Hall of Fame, but, like, the list is what is happening right now. And if you're not sure,
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Those are the charts. Those are the, like, it's different. It's, if you, once you're... in my world, an A-lister is someone that gets into every party. That's an A-lister. Whether you want to put him in an icon status or a living legend status. Barbra Streisand will always be an A-lister, regardless of when the last time she put an album out.
Let me give you this example for your party analogy. You and I have agreed that most people my age would not recognize Madonna. You and I agreed on that when we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Somebody my age is probably going to be the bouncer at the door. Fair to say. Okay, so your definition of an A-lister is when they walk up and I'm the bouncer at the door and I have my list, I know that you are who you say you are and you are at the top of your game and there's no way I could mistake you for somebody else or think you're a normal person. That's why the icon is very, very important.
No, just because the bouncer doesn't recognize you doesn't mean you're not on the A-list. Because if Barbra Streisand is showing up, they've called ahead. And the owner of the bar says to the meathead that's standing at the door, when Barbara shows up, you treat her like royalty.
But if you have to call ahead, aren't you like...
They all call ahead.
Defeats the purpose.
They all call ahead.
Kind of defeats the purpose if you got to call ahead. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Whatever.
Does it not?
Whatever. Above the A-list. Okay, then we should make that list. Are you above the A-list? Because Garth Brooks is above the A-list.
Well, no. I think
Kenny Chesney is the A-list.
I think he's an icon.
And Kenny Chesney may be above the A-list when it's all said and done.
We have to agree to this because otherwise we're never going to be able to make our list. So real quick, for you, the A-list time is not present on your A-list.
No.
See, that's where we're not going to be able to settle this.
No.
Like we're not going to be able to make our own lists and compare them because you're never going to view the list as like, I'm going outside and I'm the bouncer tonight.
All you have to do is pull up the Billboard charts and you're like, well, these people are hot right now. These people aren't.
Do you know
that's not what it's about.
Do you know how old you sound right now? You're going to let the Billboard charts. You're going to
I was trying to be relating to my audience.
You're going to let AM/FM radio play decide who's in or out in culture and society right now.
Billboard looks at all those downloads too.
Thank you, guys. We're going to talk about being unplugged. We might have some comments. Travis Tritt is the Robert Horry of country music. Had some big shots, but average career stats. There you go.
Robert Horry. Big game Bob. Big shot Bob.
That was good.
Wasn't that it? Wait. Hold on. Before we move on, let me ask you this. How many rings does Robert Horry have?
Rings? 6. Why?
Okay. So then Travis Tritt's pretty happy with his 6 rings.
Do you think Travis Tritt has 6 rings?
But comparing him to Robert Horry that's not bad. That's not bad.
I mean, circumstantially, Robert Horry was in the right place at a lot of right times. Like, is that what you want me to say?
Robert Horry yes, that's why. Robert Horry was a good NBA player for a long time.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah. You're saying it as if I was making fun of Robert Horry.
No, I'm saying that's good. That is good company. He is not.
Yeah. Like Robert Horry would have been like a C-list NBA player, and that's great. Like that's
but good. With 6 rings now, he's a B-list.
That's fine, and B-list would be fine. If he's like a bottom B-lister at his time, now
he walks in. Hold on, Mark. Oh, you're the guy in the State Farm commercials playing Jason. That's funny. That's funny.
What a words. All right, we'll save your unplugged for another show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, enjoy the Little League Parade. We will be out and about. If you can't make it, we will live stream it here. And yes, be nice, be kind, be patient. Patient is the best word I saw in that. Be patient with all the people. Be patient with the restaurants too, because they're trying to overstaff. They're trying to be prepared, but with staffing shortages, like just understand what's going on and enjoy it for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and thanks again. But I didn't ask Zach. That's just something I remember he had posted it. So thanks to Zach. If Zach happens to see this, thanks for letting us use it.
But not Zac Brown,
well done.
because he's like way down. Zach Baggett. Zach Baggett today is A-list. Zach Brown might not be.
You go, he's way down, like the B list. Imagine being so woke that being on the B list is just horrific.
So wait, where does woke come into this?
Not just, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Everyone's got to be on the A list.
Zac Brown.
I get it.
Once you're in the hall,
all
you're
inclusive. Bring
once you're on the
everybody
A list,
doesn't matter
it's
if you're
not all
doesn't matter if you
inclusive.
shouldn't be on the A list anymore.
Zac Brown is an A list.
That's what your A list stands for. All inclusive.
Is that what it is?
That's your A list.
It's not.
The all inclusive list.
Once you're great, you're always a great.
Yes, that's why you're an icon.
Which is kind of the same thing. Like if you're an icon, you have a permanent spot on the A list.
You have a permanent place in time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. I'm there. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I don't think you are.
In your world, Mozart wouldn't be on the A list.
Not right now.
Because he hasn't had a hit in 400 years.
Correct. The A list is present.
Damn that Mozart guy.
The A list is present.
I guess. You know who wouldn't be on the A list? Paul McCartney.
By the way, using artists was your worst thing, because you do realize most of them don't become A list until they're dead.
Which artist did I use?
Mozart.
He's a musician.
I understand that. But I'm just saying,
we've used all musicians.
Say it again.
We've used all musicians.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, like, most people from that day and age, like, you really weren't as like Mozart is way more famous today than he was back then.
Well, yeah, because they couldn't. You had to
That's
hear
what
it
I'm
live.
saying.
You couldn't
Correct.
travel. There was no.
Yes.
If you were 100 miles away, you didn't know who the guy was.
Correct.
But that's not because he wasn't great. It was just because of logistics.
Right. So I would argue Mozart could never make the A list because of when he existed. So that's the point I'm making.
Mozart never made the A list. God, he sucked.
He's an icon, but he's not.
Sucked.
Never made the A list. How often do you listen to Mozart?
Probably whenever I hate a Disney movie.
Do you have anybody in your life that listens to classical music?
My daughter used to. I don't know if she still does. Okay. Disney, that's where most people know their classical, because Disney used a lot of it.
Yes.
In the old cartoonish,
Mm-hmm.
I don't say a lot of it, but there was much more famous classical music in that than people realize.
Sure.
But yeah, that's probably,
Right. Thank you guys for
Jerry's
watching the Midday
Show.
Show.
We've offended Jerry
Be
enough.
sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news, and be sure to go there tonight so that you can see the Grand Slam parade before the Little League World Series starts.
And sometime when you have like 4 seconds to kill, you can read Jeff's A list, because there's only 2 people on it.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. We will see you tonight.